Hello and welcome back to Heart and Soul's Yoga Life channel. I'm Henrike, and today I want to share with you a couple of insights that will serve you if you are someone who has a hard time letting go of a painful story, letting go of a painful incident that's happened to you and is still ruminating over what somebody else did to you or what happened to you, and you just can't drop that and move on with your life. The reason why I'm making this video today is because I've had a couple of clients over the years, and one particular one just recently, who are having trouble with exactly that. In this particular case, somebody was being cut off by a family member after having supported them financially and emotionally for years and years and years, always given more than expected, always done more for them than could reasonably expected, only to then years later being dropped like a hot potato because they weren't complying anymore with what was being expected, even though it wasn't really being very reasonable. And that person came to me with a lot of pain, a lot of sadness, a lot of hurt, and actually honestly also frustration that hadn't been verbalized properly over years and had built up and now came out, and she just couldn't get out of the funk. So I told her a story that has happened to me myself to illustrate how it is not actually so much what happens to you that is the problem, but how you frame it in your mind. This is why in coaching, reframing is a very important technique. So let me tell you what happened in my case, and I'll share with you a reframe that took me from extreme sadness, panic attacks, and incredible hurt to being fine within a heartbeat. What happened was that at one of my former workplaces, I actually invested years and years of energy, years of love, and brought up a project from very early stages and a small stage to something very big and successful. And I invested everything, gave a lot of my time, paid myself very little in the early days just to get it going, to then be able to later reap the rewards and build a big team, etc. So basically gave my everything and poured my heart and my soul and my love into it. 5.5 years into the project, a blow up happened with someone else who was in the higher ranks, and at least in my belief, different people might have different opinions about that, I was really being wronged and I was being treated as very unworthy, and none of what I had done was taken into account. So I left that meeting for the following weeks to be incredibly hurt, incredibly sad, and basically was having panic attacks probably 2, 3, 4 times a week at that stage over a series of weeks, if not even several months. And what happened was that in my mind, I just couldn't let go because I was so attached to that project, I was so attached to that work that it felt in that moment, and that was my image I had around it, like my baby was being taken away from me, because the project had been my baby and I had nurtured it so much over the years that I very much was enmeshed with it. It was basically the project and I were one, and I couldn't wrap my mind around letting that go, especially because I didn't want to. It felt like it was being taken away from me. And again, whether that's rational or not is completely different. Often when we look from the outside in and we see people being so upset, we can see that it's kind of being way over the top. But while you're in it, and you will have memories of where that's happened to you, while you're in it, it's almost impossible to get out of that funk. So I was spinning that story in my head over and over and over. What eventually got me out of it, and here it becomes interesting, wasn't a long time process, wasn't needing to give it time to get over it. It was actually one significant shift that I made in my own mind when I was talking to a friend who was also who also happened to be a life coach. So in that conversation, the reframe I came to was from seeing it as that baby that's almost in me, that I need to protect, that I need to nurture, and that can't survive without me, to come to see that, hang on a minute, this is not a baby anymore. This project, whilst it was my baby in the start, now is behaving like a teenager that knows everything better, that has all the answers, whether or not I agree with them, and that seems to just want to stand on its own feet and move forward. And when I truly had that shift in my mind, all the emotion was gone, and what it was replaced with was the sense of, okay, you want to be a teenager? Man, go for it. Do your thing. Fall on your nose. You're probably going to get a bloody nose every now and then. Fall on your nose. And then you're going to get up and you're going to learn how to stand on your own 2 feet. And why the project was in me before and I had all the responsibility in my own mind. That gave me the freedom to see it as something that's separate from me, that also has that need to be independent. And it gave me the freedom to, for myself, start thinking about what do I want. And maybe life after this would be really cool because I would be so much more independent, and I started to become excited about the opportunities that might lie beyond just being so involved with that project. And lo and behold, I handed it over, gave it a couple of months, and then left. And it turned out to be a starting point for something much, much easier, much more relaxed, better lifestyle in any way. And so I think it ended up being an absolute win-win for everyone. Just that during the time when I was in it and I was stuck in that thinking, I couldn't see that. So what I'm inviting you to do, and by the way, I've had this in several times of my life, and with clients, that's very much what the coaching process does. It helps reframe, say, the pain of a broken up relationship into the realization how much freedom can lie there after you have broken up and after you have moved on, with all the opportunities that come with that. Can help reframe the empty nest syndrome, when the kids have left the house and suddenly you feel alone and like you don't have purpose anymore, into a world of opportunities once you start seeing it for what it is and once you start taking up those opportunities. So what I'm trying to say here is the problem isn't the problem. The problem isn't what happens out there. The problem isn't how you are being wronged or how other people behave, etc., etc. Sure, that's something that's uncomfortable and in many cases something that shouldn't happen, that isn't just or fair. But in the end of the day, the suffering isn't because of what these people do. The suffering is because of the meaning that you give to it. So if anything, I would like this video to be an invitation for you. Having watched up until this point, it must be something that resonates with you. So let this video be an invitation to start looking for reframes. An example of this may be, how would you like to tell this story of what's happened to you in 10 years' time? In 5 years' time maybe, but if in 10 years' time things had worked themselves out, maybe not with the person that you feel has wronged you, but you have moved on with your life, you've done other projects, met other people, etc., and you're in a really good place. And from all this time, you are looking back at what has happened to you now. What would you say about that? How would you feel about it? Who would you like to be as the hero of your own journey and as the hero of your own story? How do you wish you had shown up? And how can you bring that attitude, that mindset, that realization into your day-to-day dealings right now? Again, change doesn't have to take a long time. Change happens in a heartbeat when you have a new realization and change the perspective on what has happened to you. So start looking for the answers. Stop ruminating and rehashing over and over and over what has happened, and start searching in your own mind for the reframe that will take you beyond what has been happening to you so far. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you like our content, please subscribe to our channel, like the video if you had fun, and you can leave comments in the comment section if you have any questions. Thank you so much, and see you again soon.